Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 2198BN. Today's date is June 12th, 2020, and the title of the episode is Patriots Are 5 Steps Ahead. People are beginning to see the full picture. Now, before we get started, let's talk about being prepared. Give the gift of protection this Father's Day with 25% off the amazing Fighter Flare flashlight. This 6-in-1 flashlight comes solar-powered recharging battery, 800-lumen LED, high-low beam light, emergency strobe light, compass, wire, and rope cutter, emergency glass breaker hammer, and a high-powered military-grade magnet. The Fighter Flare flashlight is the perfect gift for Dad this coming Father's Day. Limited supplies last, and this is the very last chance to get 25% off the new 2020 model before they sell out. Please visit fighterflare.com and use the discount code X25. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Trump, the Patriots, they're pushing those individuals into the light. They want the people of this country to see each and every one of these individuals, how they react to the situation. Is this how you want your country run? Think about this for a second. He's also pushing others out into the light. Think about the generals right now. Think about the D Party right now. Think about the mainstream media right now. Everyone is seeing all of this. They're hearing it, and they're questioning this. This is all being done on purpose. We'll be talking more of the plan a little bit later. But first, I wanted to talk about Biden, because Biden was out there and he thinks that Trump will try to steal the 2020 elections. So it seems that Biden is projecting already, letting us know that when he loses, they're going to try to do the same thing that they did to Trump in 2016. He colluded with Russia, he manipulated the elections, and that's how he won. That's what Biden is doing right now. He's also telling us that if Trump loses, he won't leave the White House willingly, and the military will have to drag him out of there. Well, didn't they say the same thing back in 2016? I remember Hillary Clinton saying, listen, when you lose, are you going to concede? Well, who didn't concede when she lost? All right, that was Hillary. They're pushing a narrative right now because they know they have no chance of winning. So they're trying to make everyone believe that Trump is going to steal the elections, and that's how he's going to win. And they're trying to create this narrative to make people think of this. I wonder if voter ID is going to come into play to show that there was no stealing of the election. Everyone is accounted for. And I wonder if Trump might play the Trump card at this point. I wonder what the Trump card is. Now, very interestingly, we know there's a lot of information being declassified right now, and it seems that the Justice Department announced that the redactions in Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report related to Roger Stone may be lifted by next week, because the judge who is looking at this saying that he needs these things redacted so he can see exactly what has been going on. Now, I think when these things are redacted, I don't think they're going to see what they think they're going to see. A lot of them are thinking that, they're going to see communications with WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. They're going to see Trump in there. They're going to see all these different things. Just like they said the same thing about Flynn. They said the same thing about the telephone conversation with Kislyak. They said the same thing about Trump on his call with Zelensky. All of it turned out to be fake, phony, and false. Actually, we should have everything declassified right now. Let's be completely transparent, and that is where we are headed. Now, today, we had the United States Appeals Court listen to General Flynn's case. And during this, and actually it took about an hour and a half, and it seems that these individuals in the appeals case, they are going to try to drag this out as long as possibly can, because they got their instructions from Obama with that leaked recording, and Judge Sullivan and the rest, they're following through on this plan. Remember, they can't have Flynn be released because the gag order then is removed. He can talk about what has been going on, and everything that they work for completely falls apart very, very quickly. But what's very interesting is that during the hearing this morning with Judge Wilkins, he brought up a hypothetical race case in the middle of this. I mean, this has nothing to do with race, but he decided to throw this in there because he knew that this was live streamed. He must have got his marching orders. And we can see what is happening. Now, think about this. We had Sidney Powell saying the Department of Justice wants to dismiss this case. We had the Department of Justice there saying we have no case, we want to dismiss. The United States Appeals Court said, we hear you, but we have instructions not to dismiss, so we're going to drag this out as long as possible. I wonder when the original 302 is going to make its appearance. Remember, Trump told us, and he tweeted out, where is that original 302? I believe we might see that very, very soon. Now, a couple days ago, we had Trump during the riots. He decided that he was going to march out of the White House and head for the church. And a lot of individuals followed him. One of them was General Mark Milley. And I think it was yesterday, General Milley came out and he apologized for the Lafayette Square photo op, saying that he shouldn't have followed Trump out to the church. So the press asked Trump what he felt about it. And he said, if that's the way he feels, I think it's fine. He said the military is behind me. Now, yesterday, we talked about optics. CJ Truth tweeted out that I believe what's happening right now, it's for optics. And it is. Remember, the mainstream media is building the case that the generals are not with Trump. And there are certain generals, and we know from John Brennan, he tweeted it out, that Mattis, McMaster's, and the rest, they're all talking about Trump. And that reminded me of post 4,430. And there's a reason why Q gave us this post. Because these individuals, they are bound by their oath. And what they're doing right now goes against the law. Now, this is post 4,430. This is June 6, 2020. And this is from Catherine Herridge. It says, read, the UCMJ, Uniform Code of Military Justice, is the legal foundation for the military justice system, and it lists offenses. Plus 100 articles, Article 2, Article 88. And she highlighted all of this. And under this, it says, remember your oath. So the Uniform Code of Military Justice prohibits using contemptuous words against the president. Retired 4-star military officers who lambasted Trump could be recalled to active duty and prosecuted for violating the U.S. Code. The pertinent law is Title 10 of the U.S. Code, Section 888. And as part of the USMJ governing military law, you cannot use contemptuous words against certain officials, including the president, the vice president, and so on. So these individuals, they have to be very careful. And remember, Q also told us that they're preparing an October surprise, a town hall meeting where these generals were going to sit with CNN, Anderson Cooper, and they were going to talk about the president. This is why Q is saying, remember your oath. Do I think this whole thing with Milley is about optics? Yes, it's to make the mainstream media to think they're in control of the situation, that the generals are not with Trump. But the actual opposite is happening. Remember, make them think you're weak when you're really strong. Now, we know that the mainstream media, they're out there telling us that the second wave is coming. They're trying to build this up. They're trying to say that the cases in Florida are rising. All of this is fake, phony, and false. Actually, Dr. David Samiti, he was out there saying that there's no second wave. The toughest part of COVID-19 is behind us. This was a nursing home virus. Small baby waves and spikes here and there, but no major second wave. Reopen America, time to open our beautiful country. And also, we've had people that are in California. They went to their leaders, and they were testifying saying we should not be wearing masks. I think 100 people showed up in Orange County. And people, they understand that there is no second wave. And the mainstream media, if you notice, they're trying to they keep talking about the death rate. Actually, they should be talking about the recovery rate right now. Because think about the millions upon millions upon millions of people who have recovered, who never gotten sick. That's what we should be looking at. But they don't want to look at that. That's why they keep harping on the death rate or people who test positive. Okay, you tested positive. Does that mean there's something wrong with you? No, you build up immunity. You go meet other people. They build up immunity. And as it goes on, the virus gets weaker and weaker and weaker. But they don't want people to know about this. Now they're on their second event because they know that they're not going to be able to use the second wave. Now, even if they try, Trump, the Patriots, with Operation Warp Speed, they're all ready to counter all of this. They're going to wait for the last minute. They're going to wait for the last second when the deep state pulls out their false flag event card and they say, oh, the second wave is here. Look at this. And they report on all these cases. Trump's just going to come out and say, we don't need to fear. We have a cure. If you want a vaccine, you can get one. We're not going to make it mandatory, but if you want one, you can get one. I would go with the therapeutics. They really work well, and they stop the replication. They stop everything. And boom, it's going to be stopped right in its tracks, and that will be that. Why not do it right now? Because it would give them time to think of something else. That's why they're waiting for the right moment. Now, the second event, they are trying to push this event as hard as they possibly can. But people, they're starting to realize there's something wrong with their narrative because health experts give permission for protesters, rioters, to go out and be with each other without 6 feet apart. There's no problem with that, but there's a problem with people going to church. There's a problem with people going to vote. There's a problem with Trump having rallies. People are now starting to think logically, this doesn't make sense anymore. You can't pick and choose what you want, and that's what people are seeing right now. They're also pushing the idea we need to get rid of everything. We need to get rid of all the statues. We got to get rid of shows. We got to do this. We got to do that. Remember, the swamp is deep and wide. Yes, it includes Hollywood. Yes, it includes sports, the mainstream media, you name it. A lot of businesses too. But the one thing they continually leave out is that, for example, Nancy Pelosi, where she's demanding the removal of Confederate statues, which occupy the U.S. Capitol, she's remained silent about her father's role in overseeing the dedication of the Stonewall Jackson and Robert E. Lee Monument while serving as Baltimore's mayor in 1948. It's funny how she doesn't mention that part. We also have Hillary Clinton, that back in 2016, she delivered a KKK white supremacist speech in Reno, Nevada to a small group of supporters. And they never talk about the first family of Arkansas, the Clintons, where they set aside a special day each year to honor the Confederate flag. The Clintons even established a $100 fine for those violating the law. And this is a signed law, Section 15107. And it says the Saturday immediately preceding Easter Sunday of each year is designated as Confederate Flag Day in the state. And Bill Clinton signed the Act 116 that stated the blue star above the word Arkansas is to commemorate the Confederate States of America. And it wasn't that long ago that Hillary campaign was mass producing Hillary Confederate pins. Why don't they mention any of this? When they talk about white supremacists and all this other stuff, they leave that part completely out. Now, we know that these same individuals, they want Trump to rename army bases. Why? Because this is part of their push. Trump has already said, I'm not doing it. And remember, Trump uses the same exact weapons against them that they've used in the past. He uses the same words like thug. He holds up the Bible just like Bill Clinton. And if we go back in time to 2015, give the gift of protection this Father's Day with 25% off the amazing Fighter Flare flashlight. This 6-in-1 flashlight comes solar-powered recharging battery, 800-lumen LED, high-low beam light, emergency strobe light, compass, wire, and rope cutter, emergency glass breaker hammer, and a high-powered military-grade magnet. The Fighter Flare flashlight is the perfect gift for Dad this coming Father's Day. Limited supplies last, and this is the very last chance to get 25% off the new 2020 model before they sell out. Please visit fighterflare.com and use the discount code X25. Under Obama, during the Emmanuel AME church in Charleston, that shooting, the mass shooting there, what did they want to do? They wanted to rename the military bases that were named after Confederate generals. What did the Obama administration say about this? Well, they rejected the idea of renaming military bases named for Confederate bases, noting that many of the names have been adopted as symbols of reconciliation between North and South after the brutal Civil War. It's amazing. So Obama and Trump, they're saying the same exact thing. And why is Trump having a problem then? Why did they make a big deal when Trump held the Bible? Why did they make a big deal when Trump said the word thugs? It's everything they've said in the past, because this is not about any of that. This is just about the election and getting rid of Trump and making everyone believe that he's a white supremacist, he's racist, and he should go to jail, and he should be removed as president. Why are they doing this? Because they know he has the goods on them. What do you think is happening in the Senate judiciary right now? They're going to be issuing 50 subpoenas. They're going to be sitting in front of America. And they're going to be forced to tell the truth. And if they lie, well, it's going to go against the declassified documentation. And the people will know. But people are going to hear the truth. Yes, they're going to blame each other. But the blame is going to go all the way to the top. This is all part of the plan. Now, very interestingly, out in Seattle, we have the autonomous zone, and Mayor Jenny Durkan says that the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, Chaz, is not a lawless wasteland of anarchist insurrection. It is a peaceful expression of our community's collective grief and their desire to build a better world. Given his track record, it's not hard to believe that Trump is wrong yet again. Really? Well, according to the Seattle police chief, she's saying there's rapes, robberies, and all sorts of violence acts that have been occurring in this area, and we're not able to get to them. They frisk people. They have people guarding certain areas. They're forcing people out. They're destroying the entire area by breaking windows, spray painting, you name it. This is not a peaceful area. And right now, the Minneapolis City Council votes to replace the police department with community-led model. So let's get this straight. Rioters that looted, burned, spray-painted buildings, killed people, hurt people by beating them up. They destroyed their own neighborhoods, destroyed their own businesses in their neighborhood. They hurt people in their own neighborhood who tried to stop them. Didn't matter if they're black or white, man or woman. Now these same people will be part of the community force to protect it? Sounds a lot like the brown shirts. Or, if you want to bring it into the present, it sounds like ISIS in Syria, where they went into villages, pushed out the authorities, and they ruled the area. The people were suppressed, they were watched, they were hunted, they were killed, they were raped. And how do you think business owners and homeowners are going to react to all of this? Do you think they're all going to stay there? I think we're going to see a mass exodus. And this has similar parallels to what happened in many different areas going back to World War II. Trump tweeted this out. Seattle mayors say about the anarchists taking over her city. It's a summer of love. These liberal Dems don't have a clue. The terrorists burn and pillage our cities, and they think it's just wonderful. Even the death must end the Seattle takeover now. Now, the Chicago police union boss says he'll boot cops who kneel with protesters. Because it doesn't matter if you kneel. It doesn't matter if you go along with them. The mob will continually ask for more and more and more. Dinesh D'Souza actually sums it all up with this one tweet. Why do Democrat mayors and governors have sympathy for Antifa? Because they see in these street thugs a younger version of themselves. Moreover, they seek by confiscatory taxation to do in an organized way that the looters are doing in a disorganized way. Welcome. Think about the D mayors and governors, the D politicians, and I'm not just saying it's the Ds, there are plenty Rs also that are corrupt. They do it through money laundering. They're actually seeing the same thing happen out on the streets where they're stealing money from the public. They do it in government by passing a bill, having these funds sent to an organization, they launder the money, it comes back to them. The looters are doing the same thing. They're just taking it directly from the people. And we come to find out that Antifa planned anti-government insurgency for months before this even happened. So this was already in the works. Of course it was, because it was a planned event. Trump tweeted this out. The radical left Democrats, first they try to take away your guns, then they try to take away your police. And he's absolutely right. They're doing everything they possibly can. And what we're seeing right now, we're seeing these individuals. They've been pushed out of the darkness into the light. People now can truly see their true motivation. What they really want. This is the 16-year plan. This is what you see happening right now. And people are waking up. Now, during the riots, I just want to go back a little bit, where Trump was calling in the National Guard and he had the federal officers protect the White House. Brian Cates, he put out a Twitter thread which really explains disinformation and what Trump was doing. And you need to think about this, and I don't know if you remember this. There was a movie about Trump where he was building a hotel, and to make it look like there was something going on, he had tractors and bulldozers moving dirt back and forth to make the loan officers think that something, or the investors, to make them think that something was going on when it really wasn't going on. And he got the loans, he got the funding, and he was able to build the hotel. Trump is doing the same thing now, and this is what Brian Cates tweeted out. So why couldn't Democrats and the media do anything to sabotage what Trump and Barr were actually doing? Well, it's simple. Trump and Barr never told them what they were actually doing. How hard is this to grasp? They kept these morons watching these guys. From watching these active duty military units shuffle on and off buses while they built up hysteria about Trump unleashing them on the rioters, these Democrats and media morons suddenly turned around and went, huh? Where did these guys come from? These were the federal personnel. Here's what Levin and Fenton and all these pundits and commentators out there will never tell you. Trump uses cover stories. He feeds the media fake leaks all the time. Hell, he even used his first official press conference as president to brag about having fed media a fake leak. According to many conservative media people out there, this never happened. Trump never told the fake news media to its face. The leaks are real. The news is fake. He never told them he was feeding the media fake leaks. They'll say I'm making that up. Why do they insist Trump has never done this? Fed a fake leak to the fake news media? Because these media commentators are slaves to the daily news cycle. Their business model literally forces them to take the day's news at face value. Trump has spent 4 years now feeding both his enemies and his friends disinformation. Don't hate him for it. He has to do it. It's the only way to get things done. So when we saw the National Guard coming on the buses, going off the buses, they had different plans in the works. This was done on purpose. If you're expecting Trump to go around and round all these people up like a dictator, I don't believe he's going to do this. I think he's going to bring them in and arrest them, but I don't think he's going to have the military out there do this. I want to go back to post 1926 because this kind of explains what we're seeing now. Define fascism. Forcible suppression of opposition. Define censorship. The institution, system, or practice of censoring. Define narrative. The way of presenting or understanding a situation or series of events that reflects and promotes a particular point of view or set of values. Define projection. The attribution of one's own ideas, feelings, or attitudes to others or to objects, especially the externalization of blame, guilt, or responsibility as a defense against anxiety. The forming of a plan, scheming, defines psychological projection, a theory in psychology in which the human ego defends itself against unconscious impulses or qualities, both positive and negative, by denying their existence in themselves while attributing them to others. Define narcissist, a person who has an excessive interest in or admiration of themselves. Narcissists who think the world revolves around them. Narcissists preening themselves in front of the mirror. Define dogma. Define a point of view or tenet put forth as authoritative without adequate grounds. Define aggression. Forceful and sometimes overly assertive pursuit of one's aims and interests. Define suppression. The action of suppressing something such as an activity or publication. Bonus round. Narcissists are renowned for using psychological projection to blame other people, even when it is entirely apparent that they are the ones in the wrong. Define realism. The quality or fact of representing a person, thing, or situation accurately or in a way that is true to life. Realism. That's in brackets and bold, by the way. Actions of Antifa. Aggression. Projection. Suppression, fascism, censorship, narrative dogma, action of fake news, and fake news is in brackets, bold, all caps, aggression, projection, suppression, fascism, censorship, narrative dogma, actions of Twitter, Facebook, Google, YouTube, Reddit, aggression, projection, suppression, fascism, censorship, narrative dogma, sheep no more, the more you know. So they're all in line. They are the fascists. They want censorship. They want policing of their own kind and push out those who don't agree with their narrative. That's what we're seeing right now. Trump and the Patriots are allowing the people to see this. And as more and more people see this, they question it. They wake up. That's why Trump tweeted out the reawakening. People have to see this. And let's go to post 28. And Anon put this out there. What must be completed to engage military intelligence over three-letter agency during the 50s and 60s? Federal troops and federalized National Guard forces, accompanied by military intelligence personnel, were deployed to help integrate Southern schools 23 and to help deal with civil disorder in Detroit in 1967 and other cities the following year after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Throughout this period, military intelligence units also continued to collect data on Americans at home who were suspected of involvement in subversive activities. In the late 60s, the Pentagon compiled personal information on more than 10,000 politically active Americans in an effort to quell civil rights and anti-Vietnam War demonstrations to discredit protesters. The Army used 1,500 plainclothes agents to watch demonstrations, infiltrate organizations, and spread disinformation. According to one report, the Army had at least one observer at every demonstration of more than 20 people. The Army's activities were summed up by Senator Sam Ervin. Allegedly for the purpose of predicting and preventing civil disturbances, which might develop beyond the control of state and local officials, Army agents were sent throughout the country to keep surveillance over the way the civilian population expressed their sentiments about government policies. In churches, on campuses, in classrooms, in public meetings, they took notes, tape recorded, and photographed people who dissented in thought, word, or deed. This included clergymen, editors, public officials, and anyone who sympathized with the dissenters. Down below, the Anon says, "Haha, Trump has had military intelligence infiltrate Antifa and all the dissenting local governments. Always 5 steps ahead. Please be true." Down below, it says, "Well done. Picture being painted." This entire event was part of the plan. Everything that we see right now that's in motion is part of the plan. How did Q tell us that this was going to happen? How did Q forecast into the future that there was going to be Antifa riots, that there was going to be the use of National Guard troops, that other things were going to happen during the same period? Now, of course, in our minds, we thought it was going to play out a different way. I do believe these posts are created in that way to feed disinformation to those individuals that are staging these events. And I believe what all this is about showing the people the 16-year plan. If these people remain in power and they were allowed to carry out the rest of the plan, this is what America would look like. Actually, it would look a lot worse. This is just the beginning stages. And people need to see this, because if you just told them, they wouldn't believe it. And Kayleigh McEnany, she said something very, very interesting at the presser, which I believe sums up the entire mission of the Patriots. She said, President Trump is working on rectifying injustices that go back to the very beginning of this country's history. Think about that for a second. Think about the deep state. Think about the central bank. Think about infiltration from within. He's going back in time to the start of all of this, to the very beginning, to rectify these injustices. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.